You are tuned in to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamite, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, October 20th. Today is National Chicken and Waffles Day, World Statistics Day, International Chef's Day, International Sloth Day, World Osteoporosis Day, National Youth Confidence Day, and National Branded Fruit Day. Shout out to Fruit of the Loom. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and especially subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as all of our other social media platforms. We're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us on Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But without further ado, let's pay a quick bill so we can get right back into the news.
At True Classic OG, we live by one motto: stay true. We stay true to our legacy cut of True OG that's always fresh, piney, gassy, and delicious. We represent the spirit, hustle, and diversity of our great city of Angels. And we stay true to the spirit of this plant, doing everything in-house to ensure that you get the highest quality and consistency with every batch. And that's what's made us LA's favorite OG. True Classic OG. Stay true, Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, that's right, everybody. It's Thursday. And coming up first, she's a cannabis business consultant, an industry veteran, a bullshit buster, and a general self-proclaimed overall data bitch with over 13 years in the regulated market, but with deep roots in the legacy of this industry as well. With so much legacy that she actually did some time for a cannabis crime. That's right. It is none other than the Nicole West.
Good morning, everybody. I like that my headline somehow always has to mention that I'm a criminal. But thank you, guys. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. My headline today is coming out of Oklahoma. I know you guys have been hearing me talk a lot of shit about Oklahoma lately, but I just want to kind of give a backstory if people weren't paying attention. Oklahoma legalized cannabis for medicinal use a few years back and really opened a floodgates of businesses to come in because they made the barrier of entry so very low, which in a world of trying to figure out how to get access, lower barriers of entry will in fact be able to allow for a free market. So there's this part of me that just loves what Oklahoma did, but then the part of me that understands how this industry is and how quickly it could be perverted actually hated what Oklahoma did. So I just want to make sure that people understand that Oklahoma came in real hot in a southern state that really didn't have, there was nothing around it. And one of the things that we have noticed when, a state comes up in cannabis and regulated cannabis, it does really well. And there's fun, Oklahoma being the best dispensary in Kansas, or, something along those lines. So the reality that this is happening is not missed to most of us. And I'm not to say that, the majority of the people that are in Oklahoma are doing this. However, there has definitely been some, really deplorable working conditions and some less than ideal businesses as far as the illicit market kind of finding their way. And I'm not going to say that the illicit market doesn't find their way into everything, but when we're talking about about, human rights issues and that sort of stuff is when I definitely start to be concerned. So Oklahoma currently is getting a little aggressive with what they did to themselves, in my mind, by opening up their floodgates as big as they did. But the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics is aggressively targeting criminal activity within the state's medical marijuana program. The Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics, or the OBN, is investigating dismantling criminal organizations operating within the state's medical marijuana program. Over the past 2 weeks, the OBN has served search warrants at nearly a dozen marijuana farms across Oklahoma. Agency spokesman Mark Woodward says that is another phase of OBN's ongoing focus to aggressively target criminals hiding within the state's medical marijuana program. For over 2 years, the OBN has identified numerous individuals and organizations that have moved to Oklahoma from out of state, used fraudulent business names and structures, and so-called ghost owners to obtain Oklahoma medical marijuana licenses. I also do note that there was a lawyer recently that is getting investigated. I believe he licensed some 350 cannabis businesses, and a lot of these were under ghost corporations. So these criminals tried to blend into the state's medical marijuana program while trafficking marijuana to the illicit market around the United States, laundering money and moving millions of dollars in illicit drug procedures overseas, Mark Woodward said. Between September 27th and October 7th, the OBN executed search warrants of 10 marijuana cultivation businesses and 1 residential location in Canadian Cleveland, Gavin K, Ofsaki, Pawnee, Pontotoc, and Seminole counties. A total of 79,000 illegally cultivated plants were seized, along with 3,139 pounds of processed marijuana and 16 firearms. So far, 20 people have been arrested, with more arrests coming and expected as these investigations continue. Woodward says that the targets of these individuals' investigations face a variety of charges, including drug trafficking, aggravated manufacturing, unlawful cultivation, and acquiring proceeds from drug activity. One other thing that I've noticed Oklahoma has been coming after people for is the evasions of tax and the lack of a tax stamp because of the tax stamp law within Oklahoma in regards to sales of sin items. As these investigations continue across Oklahoma, we plan to focus on criminal growers and business owners, as well as entities that helped facilitate the fraudulent documentation along with these criminal organizations to get Oklahoma medical marijuana licenses sorted. The OBN director, Donnie Anderson, says more of these large-scale law enforcement operations are planned as his agency continues to investigate criminal cultivators around the state. We make it very clear that Oklahoma is not a safe harbor for criminals who think that they can hide behind the medical marijuana license. My agency is committed to aggressively targeting and dismantling these marijuana trafficking organizations that are attempting to gain foothold in our state. The OBN is assisted by numerous sheriff's department, police department, drug task force officers, county commissioners, and county workers. The OBN director, Donnie Anderson, says he is particularly grateful for the Oklahoma National Guard, which provided personnel and heavy equipment to assist the eradication and the disposal of plants during these operations. Holy shit, Oklahoma, you called in the National Guard. The Oklahoma's National Guard is hard at work to support the crucial and to the success of this operation. Their equipment and their personnel saved us time and efforts and enables the OBN to continue the investigations that will allow a positive impact in Oklahoman community, the OBN director, Donnie Anderson, said. Now, I am just blown away that they called the National Guard. Not surprised that this is happening. Oklahoma definitely did get a little out of hand for their own fucking good. When people say you're too big for your britches, Oklahoma was too big for their britches. And I would definitely love to hear. I'm super excited. Mark and Craig Wasserman, Pot Brothers Law are on. I'm super curious to hear what they have to say about this. And anyone else on stage? I'm Nicole West reporting for High at 9 News.
Yeah, I'll chime in first, I guess. I got the biggest mouth. It mind boggles me still that we're talking legalization, yet we have the National Guard being called in for some marijuana crimes, which shouldn't be crimes. It shouldn't be a crime to take weed from one state to another. It should not be criminal conduct. I like the idea of opening it up, having a free market. And I think we had clients come from LA and we told them, hey, you want to get started? You're going to be 2 years here waiting for a license, go to Oklahoma. And this was 5-6 years ago.
Yes.
And they went out there and started up and, $2,500 and you're ready to go in 30 days.
Yeah, the licenses were $2,500 and they were just
too many people did that. And then we're like, oh, now I need more money. Now I have to do this. Now I have to do that.
Just sell itself.
So are you telling me? You're telling me that you don't think that people should be fined or anything for smoking boof?
I don't.
That's air pollution, bro. That's air pollution, bro. It's a
Smoke what you
violation
want.
of the Clean Air Act.
I mean-
it's funny though. I've been smoking cannabis
75
Well,
years.
for like 45 years. 45
Mm-hmm.
and I go back. No, I'm not talking about pens.
And like
just
10 years
flower.
ago, it was boof. 12.
Right. I'm talking about flour. Good old flour. I've been
Yeah.
smoking for 45 years, and take away the last few years when we had testing done. I was always on the fence about, well, God knows what I smoke. I'm 61, healthy, athletic. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to test. I mean, with maybe what people are putting in it these days, I don't know if it's different than, the last 45 years that I smoked God knows what from God knows who.
All that Eagle 20 and Avid, huh?
So
Yeah, made us stronger.
Mycobutanol.
Yes.
Mycobutanol is good for the muscles, I hear.
That's right. That's right.
Deteriorating
Hey,
them.
Craig, I bet you have a strong Tinder profile.
I just think it should be completely legalized like a like
Tomato.
any other
Oh,
business.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Deschedule.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you
Yes.
hear us about this. We're
Descheduled.
deschedule or bust, because at the end of the day, these kinds of issues are going to come up over and over and over again. The way that we have it federally regulated, the way that it is a Schedule 1 drug. Like, until we deschedule this plant, we're going to keep having this fucking problem. Like, we can put as many patchworks on it as we can, but it's like at this point, I feel like every state that we legalize is like a new pain pill. Right? Like, we're not actually getting to the source of the problem. Like, what is the actual issue? Let's rehabilitate the problem, which is let's deschedule this fucking plant so that we can all stop having to have some weird workaround. Every one of your businesses in every state that you're in running weed is a loophole, in case anybody's curious.
Would the pain pill for Oklahoma, would that be called tumbleweed, Nicole?
It potentially could be called tumbleweed.
Conservative
called
pain
tumbleweed.
pill be rumbleweed, Jason?
Oh God, here we go.
I mean, since
Here
you
we
call it
go.
boof, I would just say that Oklahoma is the dirty suppository of the weed game.
Oklahoma
And
is
let's-
the dirty. So it's a recycled. It's a
Wow.
recycled
Man, those are
suppository.
some strong words, man. There are some there are some
Yes.
cultivators who moved to Oklahoma to get away from California.
The only
and to
reason
do what they can
cultivators-
do.
The
Yeah,
only
but
reason
they're
very
they
probably,
little
not
moved.
selling, they're
oversight.
probably not selling their weed in Oklahoma. They're probably selling it in other states. So the
Well, they-
Oklahomans don't even know what the good weed looks like.
They actually are selling it in Oklahoma. Newsflash: there is good weed in Oklahoma. It's not
Oklahoma-
everywhere, and
Oklahoma
it leaves the
was-
state. It's a
You're from
leaky
Texas.
state. All right,
You're
it's a
from
leaky
Texas.
state, but I'm telling you, there's some.
Did you call it a
solid-
leaky state? A leaky state?
It's a leaky state. The
Oh,
Oklahoma
leaky
is the
state.
leakiest state. Why do you think they just let everybody? They hung a y'all come sign and they let everybody come and grow the plant and do with it what they wanted. How many people are even in Oklahoma? You know what I mean? It's like, come on. Why do we have
Every
2,500
woman-
licenses to
Yeah,
grow?
There's
stop
enough weed
that
for
leak-
every
you gotta
man,
stop
woman,
that
and
leak
child
at
to
the
smoke a
repository.
pound and a half of weed a year
No,
in
it's
Oklahoma on
legal.
production.
It's
My
leaving.
theory is, look, give out 30,000. Who cares? It's like any other business. If you have the best, you have the best service, you have the best product, you're going to survive. If you
They
don't,
just did a really poor job too of vetting it in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
let everyone come in and they didn't actually have somebody looking at the data, checking the businesses, doing the actual due diligence that a real licensing organization should have done. If they would have done the legwork up front, they wouldn't be having this issue on the back end. But Oklahoma just wanted their money. They were just like,
And
give
they-
us all of your permits.
They needed
give us all
it.
They made up the rules
needed
as they
it.
went along. They were making it up as they went. They would change it every 3 or 4 or 5 months. We talked to a clients who my brother said we had sent out there years before who had a leg up, and they were actually, some of them were involved in, well, if you're going to change it, do this, and so we're doing some good things, but it's crazy. It's absolutely
And
crazy.
and don't be surprised. In California, legal shops have a lot of booth being sold.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Well,
Oh,
thank
come
you
on,
guys
yeah.
for entertaining my story. I really appreciate it, and having a deep conversation about the Oklahoma booth packs getting spread around. And I would say, in the way of leaky states, Liz, we're in a leaky state too here.
Oh,
in
you guys
Cali.
are in a big leaky state.
A very
Yeah.
leaky state. We need all the water we can get, I think.
You need all the
So-
suppositories.
Yeah, just plug it up. So up
Plug
next,
it
we have
in, plug it in.
we have Rico, the dopest dad in the world, founder of Canavision Global, decentralized media network. He enjoys bringing people together from opposite ends of the world to enjoy, to learn about the benefits of this great plant, cannabis. He's also a TEDx speaker and probably one of my favorite anarchists. What do you have for us today, Rico?
Thank you, Nicole. And as much as I'd love to hit Roscoe's right around the corner to support Black business and celebrate National Chicken and Waffles Day, I just don't think it's safe yet. So maybe I'll order from DoorDash. The headline I'm covering today is from CT Insider from Julia Bergman. Winners of CT cannabis licenses spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to improve chances in lottery. Connecticut, where social equity can mean whatever the fuck you want it to. When Connecticut's adult use cannabis law was passed in 2021, a social equity program was launched with a stated goal to establish an equitable marketplace by creating opportunities for disproportionately targeted by creating opportunity for communities disproportionately targeted by past criminalization to participate in the legal market. In order to qualify for social equity license, applicants had to meet residency and income requirements and own at least 65% of the company. Sounds more than fair, right? Better than ours. Well, several applicants actually were denied equity status, and they would disagree. They're actually now suing the state over the process. License recipients were chosen from 2 rounds of lotteries with an unlimited amount of entries allowed. Half awarded were to go to equity applicants through a separate lottery from non-equity applicants. Early critics warned the system would favor MSOs and wealthy individuals submitting an outsized number of applications to increase odds of winning. And surprise, surprise, they were right. New data from the State Department of Consumer Protection revealed license winners flooded the lottery system with entries after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to submit thousands of applications. Slap Ash LLC accounted for 850 of the 8,360 applications submitted to the social equity lottery. They won 2 licenses. Another one, Janani LLC, spent over $200,000 to submit more than 800 entries, winning 1 license. Social equity applicants not selected in that lottery were able to enter the general lottery, where fees varied by license type. But if you missed out in round 1 due to your odds being no match for Brad and Dad's 800 plus entries, the state's gonna do you a solid and keep your price of entry at $250, same as before. Per the article, DCP has yet to release data on the number of applicants or applications filed for other license types, such as cultivator and food and beverage manufacturer, but they did show number of winners of micro cultivator licenses who can grow for recreational and medicinal use, with smaller facilities up to from 2,000 to 10,000 square feet of grow space. 3 winners of the only 4 micro cultivator licenses available in the state in the initial social equity round filed 40% of all of the applications submitted. The big dog here was Chillax LLC. They spent nearly $95,000 to submit more than 750 applications. With a recently published list of names behind approved applicants waiting to receive the provisional licenses, including a former state senator, a previous commissioner of the Department of Consumer Protection, and multiple MSOs, I do not believe Connecticut's goal of creating an equitable marketplace was met. But hey, at least they checked the obligatory social equity box, and they tried, right? I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Love to hear what you guys think about this one. Socialist equity, Jason?
Definitely socialist equity, bro. You know exactly what it is.
I know my brother has a lot to say about social equity stuff that he had to deal with in L.A.
Yeah, I know. I know Nicole was involved in that a bit too, weren't you, Nicole? Oh my God, can we say clusterfuck?
I call it predatory. I call it predatory gifting.
Oh my God.
That's the term that I like to use about what the Los Angeles Social Equity Program was, because the amount of people that had money that just went and found somebody who had a poor situation and was like, hey, can I put your poor situation inside of my money bag and maybe you make some money off of it, but you might end up with a bunch of debt and you might end up with some tax bullshit and you might end up with the fucking law climbing up your asshole. But can I use your sad life for that?
You know what? I represented about 6 different social equity applicants, and only one of those did we find a fair deal. Everybody else, I just say, no, I can't sign off on that. I had one client, I didn't fire me, but left because she wanted to get her 10 grand a month, owning 51%, but having a separate set of books that lawyers would approach me and say, we got these other books. We will do the 51%, because they got to look at that, and they got to, all that stuff's got to be submitted. But we'll have this other set over here that really says you're only going to get 10%. And I'm like, I attorneys approach me with that. And I'm like, no, I will not do it, and I will not be a part of that. And there was, all the corporations wanted to get in line in front on the backs of those who were fucking arrested, who were in jail, and they wanted to jump on their backs. And I said, hey, if you want to jump on their backs to get first in line, I want this fair. And
So
that didn't work out so well.
I was also a participant in the first ever cannabis lottery. I was one of the original lottery winners of the Long Beach 5.87 in 2009. I had the first certificate of occupancy that said medical marijuana on it in the state of California because we went through the first licensing process. And so as somebody who's gone through a lottery for your life and all of your life savings, I'm going to say it's probably one of the more stressful things that has ever happened to me in my life. The best part about the lottery that I went through, and I'll never forget this, Long Beach 2009, we're in the city council chamber. They roll out this sweet ass lottery machine, right? Fucking the kind with the air, the balls, the whole thing. And then they throw all the balls in, right? Now, their dumbasses, rather than write the numbers on the balls, printed out little P-touch tape and wrapped it around. Those balls are perfectly weighted, ladies and gentlemen. You can't affect the weight of those balls because they have to fly up at perfect rate to go through that chute, and they're perfectly rounded. So instead of using the fancy fucking machine, they dumped them all into a recycle bin and pulled them out by hand.
Oh my God!
I can't make that shit up.
I think the biggest problem
Wow.
with social equity is nobody can agree on what it even means. It was created in 1968. H.G. Fredrickson, a white man in Idaho, and it's just been bastardized like all across the board. The goal was for social equity to take on the same statutes as economy and efficiency as values or principles to which public administration should adhere. So it's a broad term. It's a buzz term. It's a marketing buzzword at this point, and nobody can agree on what it means. So you're going to continue to have people check in the box, say, "Oh, we tried to do this, and it's never going to work." I think we need to.
It
So
means
you guys know.
The
You guys
only
know that I like to. Oh,
no,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you guys know I like to make sure that everybody knows when we talk about a state and understanding the laws as a felon and you're voting. 2021, this is big news. 2021, Connecticut changed the regulations. You now can vote as soon as you get out of prison as of last year. So any felons out there, the moment you got out of prison, you are now allowed to vote. So that's a law as of last year in June.
As you have your fresh outs on.
Fresh outs,
You
can
can't
go
vote
vote.
in Texas. No
Throw your
felons
fresh
voting in
outs on
Texas.
and head on down
And
to the
go
voting booth and make
vote.
sure you register to vote.
Register to vote.
I don't think social equity is ever going to work. And I'm not doing New York law right now. We're California attorneys, but I have heard that they are giving out so many to social equity applicants. I'm not sure of their definition. I think it's similar to most of the other ones about prior crime, prior disproportionately impacted war on drugs. And they're creating a fund to help the social equity applicants actually get started, because most social equity applicants don't have the means to get started. And that's what's the clusterfuck in LA that, it's okay, great. You're picked to get a license. Now you need to carry a fucking piece of property for 12 months, 18 months, in order to get licensed to go through the process. Who's got that kind of dough? So I think New York has a fund to actually help those guys get up and running. I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but
Then
that's
you're
You're
just
right.
partners with the government. Then
You're right,
Then
but
you're
you
partners
get-
with the government.
I'm not sure how that works, but
like Jason said.
that's going to be, so that's the only way. Otherwise, who's going to give the money to start?
Right. And who's going to give the money to sustain too? Are you going to be able to keep
Sus-
up with the
yeah.
inflation? Are you going to be able to keep on paying those fees and those dues along the way? Are you going to be able to compete with those MSOs who are across the street from you?
Are you ever going to be able to pay back your government investor? That's the real question, guys.
But there's
They don't want you to.
there's a poison, and it's what is it? I'd rather have the evil that I know than the evil that I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I
all
feel
evil.
you. I feel you.
It's
I
all
mean,
evil.
I get it. I get it, Mark.
Craig,
Craig, I
all
get it,
good.
bro.
I'm
You
Mark.
guys are both the same as far as I'm concerned. You guys are Mark and Craig, the Pop brothers-in-law. Okay, so you guys are
That's fucked up,
one
bro.
within
They're
the same.
individuals. They're
Yes,
We are.
You guys are the same.
Yeah, they're
And
really
they're so
different.
You guys
different.
are a
and they're
duo,
so
bro.
different.
So different.
You guys
Doesn't
are a
even matter.
duo.
They're so different too. Like they can.
We're
They're not
night and
even
day.
twins. Yeah, they're
bet
literally
they're both
they're like the
kings.
yin and the
Twins.
yang of the
So-
weed game, bro.
Ooh, the
Like,
yin-yang
They're
twins?
they're
There you go.
twins.
they're,
They're
they,
twins.
they're,
They're twins.
they're not actual twins.
They're twins. 100%.
Let's keep
Yeah.
it rocking here. Up next, we got another story from the longest continuously operating retailer in the industry, and he's known as Gucci Blanco down in Mar-a-Lago, White Gucci out in Detroit. And in his spare time, he enjoys smoking the best weed in the world, and somehow believes the best path forward for the industry is through safe banking. Jason Beck, who you got? What you got for us today, man?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, Rico. I appreciate that. Hope everyone's having a fabulous Thursday. Today, my story, I think, has been more retweets and anything else than a story that I've seen this entire week, because my headline reads, that's right, you're never going to believe this. It says, weed is coming to a Circle K gas station in the U.S. next year. Green Thumb Industries Incorporated, one of the largest U.S. cannabis producers, signed a deal with Circle K, the global convenience store chain, to sell licensed marijuana in its Florida gasoline retailers. The partnership will begin next year with 10 of the company's 600 locations in the state, Green Thumb said. The deal is rare given that legal marijuana has so far been only sold in standalone dispensaries in the U.S. and within pharmacies in countries such as Uruguay and Germany. By selling marijuana, which is still illegal at federal level, at gas stations where consumers buy staples like snacks, cigarettes, in partnership, the partnership may help push the drug further into the mainstream. The agreement will continue to normalize marijuana by integrating it with regular consumer products, Green Thumb Chief Executive Officer Ben Culver said in an interview. This is a futuristic deal, he says. Financial terms between Chicago-based Green Thumb and Laval, Quebec-based Illumination, aka Couche-Tard Incorporated, which owns Circle K, weren't disclosed. Under the agreement, Green Thumb will lease space from Circle K locations and sell the marijuana. The Green Thumb outposts will be known as Rise Express stores and have a separate entrance from the gas station because Florida is one of several states where cannabis can be legally sold only for medical use. Purchases are restricted to Floridians who have medical marijuana cards. Currently, that number is around 700,000 patients. Gas stations appear to be a good fit for weed because they are already where lots of Americans shop for age-restricted drugs such as tobacco and alcohol. Some locations have already ventured into cannabis, selling CBD products that don't contain psychoactive ingredient THC and Delta-8. Items which also give consumers a high, but fall through a legal loophole because they're derived from hemp boof. Green Thumb's Culver said there's an appetite from Circle K to work together in all other states and in Canada where recreational marijuana is legal. The chain has a deal with the cannabis retailer Fire and Flower Holdings Corp. that includes opening shops adjacent to Circle K locations. Analysis said the news could be good for the sector. Stifel Andrew Parithio called the first significant regulatory data point since President Joe Biden announced a review of marijuana at the federal level, writing in a Wednesday research note that the optics of having co-located banners could be material for social acceptance. A representative from Couche-Tard said that Fire and Flower is the company's strategic partner in cannabis activities, particularly in Canada, where it is legal. The company also said it's doing limited real estate agreements with other partners, such as Green Thumb, and the agreement could also help Green Thumb as it competes with other large multi-state operators to build a national brand, even though it only allows marijuana sales. Florida is still the second largest market in the marijuana space, following California. I'm not sure if it's the second. I think it may be the third under New York, but who knows? We shall see. And they say Green Thumb shares went up as much as 11% on Wednesday in trading, while Couche-Tard's slipped about 1%. Well, I'll tell you what, this headline it's truthful and it's misleading all at the same time, because the headline makes people think that they're going to be able to go into a Circle K, pay for their gas, buy a poor boy and a blunt all rolled up and walk on out, maybe even with a slushie in hand. But you know what? That is total fake news, because you're going to be able to walk into the store, pay for your gas like you normally would, and then you're going to have to walk into a whole separate entrance to go in and get carded and all that extra shit that is involved with compliance within having to buy weed, because we have not descheduled or busted yet. And this is Jason Beck reporting for High at 9 News.
Yeah,
My
well,
first dispensary shares a parking
many-
lot
so many
with
people are
the
talking.
gas station, so I feel
mean,
like this is the same thing.
I'm just imagining that with these 10 locations that they're gonna set up like some like shack outhouse, almost like a COVID tent, and that's just where
Right-minded.
the weed station is going to be, because most of these Circle K's don't have enough
Jason
space
built-
built in. Or are they going to reconvert the bathrooms and turn those into dispensaries?
There you go.
Yeah,
Will they,
it sounds-
will they clean the
Only have
bathrooms
to-
before they convert them?
I mean,
I just want to comment quickly that Circle K was the first gas station chain to bring on CBD. And yeah, I love joking about it. I mean, I'm not trying to smoke that gas station weed, but I love that it's going to become a term now. And I love that it's going to, again, it's just getting incorporated in the mainstream. Maybe it will never happen, because I didn't really hear of anything like hard deadlines.
You know what's going to be great is you're driving down those highways in the remote areas, and you got the signs: gas, food,
Yes.
cannabis. And what better place to get gas weed than where you get your
Yeah.
gas food?
Well,
Let's
hold on,
open
bro.
a gas
There's
station
no
called
gas in
Ass,
Florida.
Gas, or Cash, right? Or Grass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? That's
Yeah,
a thing.
that was a
Gases.
bumper sticker. That was a bumper sticker
Yeah.
for picking up hitchchikers back in the 80s.
I
That
feel
was-
like if
you had to
called
pay,
it,
you had
but if
ass,
called it
cash,
ass,
or
gas,
grass.
or grass, you'd also have to have people
The
there
sex
too.
shop
So maybe
Connection
yeah.
too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Duh.
Exactly.
Jason, are you
though.
still going to be telling people to smoke more gas?
Sorry.
You know,
yeah.
And
Yeah.
going back to the story, though, what's going to be interesting is, unlike California, where we have local fucking control, right? So are they just going to allow? I mean, where are the zones that are allowable in the cities that these Circle K's reside in? Are they all of a sudden going to be zoned for cannabis just because it's Circle K? Or
So no. So how Florida works is you have to get a local approval. You have the ability to open up as many stores as you can with one of those super licenses in Florida.
But do they
But
have
you still have to get
banned?
local. You still have to get local approval as far as zoning within the city, and the city still has to acknowledge it. So I'm willing to bet that Green Thumb actually did do their homework, and they've already had these locations pre-approved in regards to this press release. I'm going to assume that because I think Green Thumb Industries is one of the better MSOs as far as how they operate. But who knows? I could totally be wrong.
Yeah, I had actually read about them years ago when they went with the CBD. They were already talking back then about, getting on the cannabis bandwagon and allowing it in adjacent stores, which who knows, maybe it's like right now in New York City, we go up to the Heights and they got pop-up tents, and that's where we bought our fucking weed.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a pain in the ass to bring the CBD into the stores. I know that because we have been. Sky Wellness is one of the company that really spearheaded that move with Circle K, and we've just had the opportunity to hear about it from their perspective and what a pain in the ass it was just to get CBD in the stores. So seeing this story is just like, dude, this is good. I mean, they're obviously building on the pains and all the bullshit they dealt with CBD, and they're doubling down on cannabis. Whatever that means and whatever that looks like, I think it's just a win for
Just
weed.
the fact that it's out there in the airspace, could help a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be. Everybody thinks it's going to be in Circle K's like tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right.
You're not
It
going
makes
to
them
walk
feel
into
more
Circle
comfortable with
K
it.
and go and pay for
The
your
same
gas
thing
and pay
happened
for
with
weed
the-
in the same transaction.
The
Right.
same thing
That's not
happened with the
reality.
weed vending machine. My a family friend of mine and my cousin both invested in those weed vending machines like a decade ago, but it went public and everyone was like, "Oh, when weed went legal, everyone was like, "Oh my god, the weed's going to be in the fucking vending machines." I was like, "No, it's not, guys. Like it's not going to go
Yeah.
down that way." But everyone was just like, "Fucking buy the vending machines."
Right.
Yes. All right. That was fantastic dialogue, everyone. Thank you so much for that. We got to head into a commercial real quick. Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX. Located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down in LA and score like a winner. And don't forget to tell them I sent you and mention you'd like to get high at 9 for 10% off your full order.
The thoughts and opinions general shade thrown on the Hyatt 9 News are those of individual speakers, not those of individual speakers as followers. Statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any substance in a country, area, territory, or authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish fiduciary relationships. Our sponsors do not apply, constitute the endorsement by us, the expression of any opinion whatsoever, or any part of any speaker on stage. If you're an easily offended person, this show is probably not for you. Also, you should probably shut the fuck up.
October 23rd and 24th. Join Bella Flora for their celebrity golf and poker tournament with confirmed attendees like NBA All-Star Dennis. Yeah, Dennis Fisher. Come on, man. It's Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher, formerly of the LA Lakers, Paul Pierce of the Boston Celtics, celebrity chef Todd English, and David Justice of the Atlanta Braves, plus many more. With a portion of the proceeds benefiting the nonprofit Freedom Grow. Shout out to Freedom Grow for real, though. Join Bella Flora in Temecula Creek, California, October 23rd and 24th. Go to www.bellafloragolf.com. That's www.bellafloragolf.com for full sponsorship opportunities.
Oh, yeah. Mark and Craig Wasserman, known across the globe as the Pot Brothers at Law, are California-based attorneys handling all areas of the cannabis business as well as all criminal defense. I'm sorry.
Mark,
Would you like? How about if I do it?
Criminal defense. Most importantly, they teach people how to peacefully engage with law enforcement by using the 25-word script known as Shut the Fuck Up When Cops Ask Questions, aka STFU. Mark and Craig, what do you have for us today, my friends?
Thank you very much for having us today. First of all, Jason, Rico, Nicole, Liz, always great to be hanging with you guys. Me and my brother are going to talk about something that really sparked conversation between us regarding what Biden did with the expungements, pardons, a political move that was great for a group of people and did nothing else for the progression of cannabis at the federal level. At the federal level, change can happen in two ways. Number one, I'm going to talk about executive order. Now, everyone thinks that's just a stroke of the pen. Far from it. There's a legal process, and it started with what President Biden ordered the Department of Justice and the Department of Health and Human Services to begin doing, which is an expeditious review of the plant's status under the Controlled Substances Act, which is so outdated that it compares cannabis to heroin and spells marijuana MARIHUANA. So I don't know what they're going to do with all that, but presumably this will produce a recommendation for the executive branch to follow, potentially leading to an alteration in cannabis scheduling by executive order. But, and this is a very heavy but, authorizing medical use of cannabis federally would require Food and Drug Administration approval of cannabis-based drugs. In order to do so, the FDA would require clinical trials first on animals, then humans, plus studies that would establish a baseline on the substance's side effects. Now, this process takes 10 years, but alas, there is another way. Big brother?
Yeah, there's another way. That's called congressional action. That's why I get in my soapbox all the time about calling your goddamn representatives and making this happen. We do have right now 4 different reform laws at the congressional level. We've got the MORE Act, the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which seeks to deschedule cannabis completely in its entirety, getting rid of criminal and social. They'll be enacting criminal and social justice reforms to the existing convictions. Now this is passed the House of Representatives in 2020, but did not get taken up by the Senate. By decriminalizing weed at the federal level, MORE Act would presumably also allow to decriminalize it in national parks, which is actually the title of this article is, Can You Smoke Weed in National Parks? Here's 2 ways it can happen. So that's why that reference is in there. Then we have the Safe Banking Act, the Secure and Fair Enforcement Banking Act, which is the SAFE Act. And this was introduced in 2013, which would allow businesses to have financial access to banks and everything else that they can't get access to now. But again, the Senate refused to take it up. Then we have the States Reform Act, which would end the federal prohibition of marijuana and create a framework for regulating its cultivation, distribution, and use. It was introduced in the House in 2021, but again, hasn't gone anywhere. Then we now have the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, which also aims to deschedule cannabis from the CSA entirely, recognize existing state legislation, enact banking reform, and automatically expunge the records of all nonviolent marijuana crimes in one fell swoop. It was introduced in the Senate in July by Cory Booker and is in the Finance Committee currently. If this were to become law, marijuana use would no longer incur criminal penalties on federal land or anywhere else. And those are the four choices. I'm for number 4. We can talk about those, but it needs to just be completely off the schedule, completely in its entirety, not descheduled. That would be another clusterfuck if it's descheduled. The feds cannot continue to tax it. These are all my.
What is it? What's
on,
the difference?
yeah.
What is deschedule? You mean reschedule? Are you saying not to reschedule?
Yeah,
No,
it
it
needs
needs
to be descheduled.
Deschedule is taking it off.
completely.
Yes.
That's what we were saying. You just said not
Yes.
to deschedule. You said don't you mean don't reschedule.
Don't reschedule.
Don't
what you mean.
reschedule, deschedule.
Yes, there
Yes,
we go.
you just said
Yes,
don't
yes.
deschedule. I was like, no. We say
No,
deschedule or bust here. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. He had a long night.
It doesn't
He was at the
matter.
It
party
happens
last
to us
night.
all.
He's been
It
drinking.
happens
It's
to us
okay.
all.
It
Yeah,
We
doesn't
all about
matter.
that D. We all about that D over here.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
deschedule.
By the time it's federally legal, we will all be dead.
That's my brother.
Hey.
Biggest
Yeah,
pessimist-
wait. In 1996, when I became an attorney in 1996 in California, and Prop 215 was enacted, everybody 5 years till federal legalization. California's leading the way.
I remember that.
And then what? And then who was the first to go adult use? It wasn't California. It was Colorado. And then it was okay. California's gonna 5 years. It's 5 years. Fuck this. Fuck this. I want it to happen. Like my brother said, well, I'm going to advocate, go vote, get people into Congress. It's this way because everything's going to still fucking die in the Senate. What's changed as of right now? What's changed? I'm
Well,
this.
first of all, Mark,
reality.
I think let's
Thank you, Mark.
let's back it up just a little bit because I do believe that we are going to get safe banking passed during the lame duck session of Congress.
Safe
I
Banking
do
Plus. You mean Jason, right?
Safe
no,
banking,
lame
whatever.
duck.
Safe Banking
It's all
Plus.
safe
Go ahead and
banking.
say it, Jason. It hurts you to say that plus on
What
there.
is wrong with our politicians? What the fuck? We're not going to deschedule it. We're just going to make it safe banking. It's just
That's a baby step for legislators to be able to get comfortable with actually
We've been
some type
taking
of cannabis
baby steps
legislation.
for 58 years.
Exactly.
We've been taking baby steps. We can't
Safe
do
banking
it
passes.
anymore.
We're never going to legalize. We're never going to
Yeah.
legalize if Safe Banking passes.
And then, Mark, I've heard you talk about, the systems having to come undone when legal federalization happens and they fucking fling open the gates. It's like there's so much to undo I'm on your side of things, Mark. I'm an optimist about everything but that.
The floodgates of corruption will really be open once they federally come up with their regulations and however the fuck they're going to do it, unless they let people like
leave it to the states.
on this panel. Some people on this panel who should be
Leave it to
helping
the
write
states.
regulations and
Send
shit
the
like
data
that.
bitch to the
Get the
White
growers.
House.
I want the growers who are afraid to come out.
Every
out
time
and speak.
every time I've worked with the government, I've gotten less interested in working with the government, and that's a real statement. I won't go I've been asked, and I've worked with some governments, and every government that's ever asked me to help participate in anything has made me less interested in government work. When I was a little girl, I literally wanted to become Speaker of the House. That was my dream when I was a little girl. I was going to become a lawyer, and that was what I was going to do. And every time I get a little bit closer into the government behind the kimono, I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking scary back there.
Yeah, but you're still there. You're still there, and we need you there. And I'm just, peer pressure.
Do we really need government,
We
though?
need you there.
Do we really need government?
Come to
Yeah,
Texas.
Rico.
And
Yes, Rico, we need government.
No,
yes.
exactly. I feel that. I feel that. We don't.
Elected officials, they're going to listen to the goddamn constituents.
Right.
What the fuck? We've got the majority of Americans across the country want legal marijuana, yet we have politicians who aren't listening. They need to go. That's only way this is going to change so Nicole can work with those people who wanted to change.
Yes.
Right. That's what we need.
Scared.
We need to clone Nicole about 50,000 times, right?
But
Yeah.
but,
We
but
do that?
after they're
Thank
in
you.
office for half the term, they want more money.
I
Yeah,
throw some
everyone
money
just gets
behind that
scared.
And
experiment,
Nicole
Mark.
wouldn't, okay, because she is a good person. Okay, so
Cloning
let's
me?
stick with the plan, Rico, of cloning Nicole.
I
I'm
would
just gonna
definitely.
start dipping my hands in Clonex every time I go into a grow. Be like, I don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
guys.
All
Said
right.
about baby steps. That's what people said about 64. It's baby steps. I kind of bought into that as well. It's baby steps. It's baby steps. I
You're
mean,
comparing the state versus the federal government, bro. That's a big difference. It's a very big
I
difference.
feel
You
like
gotta
one
get rid of
day,
these
but
states
like,
and
how did they turn
on the same
alcohol on?
page.
Well, I
One
get it.
day they were just like, it's on, it's on.
But hell,
Like Donkey Kong, right?
riddle me this. Riddle me this. Biden's going to pardon, right? Simple possession, right? But what about when tomorrow, when I'm on federal land and I smoke a joint and I get busted?
You're not pardoned.
I
that
asked that
No,
question.
you're
I'm
not.
You're
You're
in
not. You're not
possession.
pardoned. The pardon goes from the date. The pardon goes from the date that it was executed, and then back. It doesn't go for anything forward.
All right, we gotta hop to the next story, y'all.
You got it. This is Craig Wasserman, Pop Brothers in Law with Little Brother, and we're here reporting for High at 9 News.
Ooh, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it.
All right, up next, he's a Wisconsin-rooted, Fresno-based raptivist, repping the strong black conservative voice mainstream media and Joe Biden do not want you to know exists. But I'll tell you what, the haters and race baiters will not block out the black side of liberty, perpetually exposing the man, the myth, the legends out there, because he is the truth. Nicholas Wildstar, what you got for us today, my brother? The governor is coming to the stage. You got you unmuted?
Yeah, you gotta unmute, Nicholas.
We got you in Clubhouse.
Yes, Nicholas. We need you to
That's the
unmute,
intro.
Nicholas.
In the clubhouse.
Gotta love live radio.
Clubhouse
Well,
rock.
you know,
Yes.
we could go ahead and
Let's just
hop
hop to
to
Liz.
let's hop to
Here we go.
Liz. Yeah.
Hey,
Liz,
hey.
let's pop up. Sorry, I wasn't ready for this, but that's on me. All right, Liz Grow is a cannabis
Hold on.
storyteller.
Nicholas is back. Nicholas is
What?
back.
He's
Nicholas
back?
is back. He
All
hopped
right.
out of the room and
Something.
hopped back in. Nicholas, are you with us?
I love this technology. Anyways, cannabis users soon may be a majority among young adults in the District of Columbia and several pot-friendly states, a trend that points to a potential future of destigmatized marijuana across much of the nation. More than 2/5 of young men and women nationwide now use cannabis at least on occasion, according to federal data, a quotient that has risen steadily in a decade of relentless legalization. Much of the trend is driven by young women who have all but closed a decades-long gender gap in marijuana use. Young cannabis users outnumber abstainers in Vermont, where recreational marijuana became fully legal only this month. Young marijuana patrons are nearing majorities in Colorado, where cannabis has been legal for a decade, and in Washington, D.C., where the drug trades on a nebulous gray market. There are also reaching the majority in Oregon, where recreational sales commenced 5 years ago. It really helps with sleep, said Allison, 24 of Silver Spring, Maryland, one of 5 states with recreational cannabis measures on the fall ballot. She withheld her last name because the votes are not yet cast. It's great for stress, anxiety, she said, and my generation has huge anxiety problems. Across the full adult population, marijuana use may stand at an all-time high. It's hard to tell because prior to legalization movement, federal cannabis research focused largely on the young. The share of all adults who said they had tried marijuana in their lifetimes reached 49% in 2021, the highest number measured in half a century by Gallup polling. In the next 5 years, we should see that crossing 50%, said Lydia Saad, director of U.S. Social Research for Gallup. When the polling organization first posed the question in 1969, only 4% of adults said they had ever used cannabis. Cannabis advocates rejoiced this month when President Biden announced he would pardon all Americans convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law. As many as 5 more states are poised to join the recreational marijuana movement after the midterms. Recreational marijuana could transform cannabis culture in North and South Dakota and Arkansas, states where only 10 to 15% of adults use the drug now. Not a drug. 25 years ago, people were telling me, kid, it's not going to happen in your lifetime, said Etienne Fontaine, a cannabis activist and Gulf War veteran who runs the oldest dispensary in the nation, Berkeley Patients Group in Northern California. Already, 19 states and District of Columbia have recreational marijuana laws on the books. Should all 5 measures pass, legalization should be the law for an estimated 49% of the U.S. population, said Paul Armentano, Deputy Director of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Not everyone is celebrating, though. Health experts worry that rising cannabis use brings increased risk. Marijuana is about as addictive as alcohol, said Christian Hoffer, a professor of psychiatry at the University of Colorado. I've had numerous